Welcome to Organizational Behavior Management 280, offered online or on my face-to-face class, offered by Harper College. My name is Dr. Mochocki. This week we're going to be starting week 5. You know the routine. You log in, we go into our weekly module. Everything you have is in your weekly module. We go to week 5, and always click on this week 5, chapter 12 and 13 is what we're going to be talking about, and it has 2 assessment overview. This is kind of nice if you use it as a checklist. And you print this out to say, okay, I did this, have no quizzes, we got some connect, we got our forms, or we're 25 points this time. I'm trying to bring up the points to help some of you students, help some of you bring up your overall grade. You have 2 assessments. What is your communication style under stress? And the other one is assessment, your active learning. Okay, so always print those out. Go back to the week 5. And remember, this week what we've done a little bit different. Before I go to week 5, let's talk about week 4 a little bit. You did well in the forms. You did very good on your decision-making and conflict style. And I know in the forum there was a big discussion, what is my decision style? There's no right or wrong decision style. We use different decision models or techniques depending on the situation. Same thing when I'm looking at my conflict style. Depending on the situation. We may have a preferred decision-making style. We may have a preferred conflict resolution style. But eventually, depending on the situation, depending on the individual, we have to adjust those styles to that. The biggest thing is forcing. A lot of people say, I don't want forcing, or some are concerned that I'm too much of a compromising, or I should only compromise. We compromise. But remember, as you move up the corporate ladder, when you move, or you open up your business, as you move up, your styles, you have to adjust to different individuals, to different situations. And a company teaches individuals, so the assessments is to learn your own style first, and then you will be able to understand other people because you'll have a baseline from when you're starting. So there's no right or wrong style depending on the company, depending on the situation, depending on the employee. So that's why organizations hire people from with different styles, different assessment. Going forward in the format, this next week we have, again, 2 assessments, maybe 4. What I wanted you always to do, is this assessment a practical tool to be utilized within the organization? This is organizational. We're at the next level. We're looking at policies. We're looking at how we bring people in. Makes sense with HR. So what kind of culture do we want? How do we develop this culture? Culture doesn't come haphazard in an organization. They are brought in, and they're brought into the culture by certain skill sets, or new people are brought into the culture to change the culture. Okay, so we're doing pretty good on that. So remember, always add that. Respond to all my questions within there, and you could do several different polls. A lot of times, what happened last forum, I think it kind of like it hit a dead spot, for lack of a better word. So I asked. I'm always in there trying to add into the form when I see nothing's happening. At the beginning, I'm always looking at your forms. I'm monitoring your forms. I want to see how you as a team work together. Here's the assignment. You do your post, and how do you communicate to other people? Some of you are doing better than others with a lot of communications or a lot of format, and you're doing very well. And that's what happens when you look at this next chapter that this chapters we're reading this week. We're looking at listening styles and communication styles. I'm not listening and communication. Those 2 assessments. But you're looking at communication. You know, a lot of people think communication is just written, and I do speeches. When you're in office, when you're in a meeting, how you communicate, you're using the same things. You're looking at nonverbal. You're looking at how do I present my idea? How do I persuade people with my idea? All this is even a little meeting. People are evaluating you. And it may not be only your team members are evaluating, your peers or people above you. We're a lot of cross-functional teams in the forum. Some of you are on committees that you have people from different departments that never met you, may have heard your name, and now they say, oh boy, this person is very sharp. I like the questions. Yeah, if you're always disagreeing, yes, that's why the forum is another way to tell you your point. I don't want to start conflict, remember, but if you don't agree with the thing, how do you politically, professionally communicate that? Okay, so I'll drop all that on week 4. So let's go now. We'll have this overview looking at. Remember, I've broken down a little bit different because I want you to learn. And remember, mine is for you to understand the subject matter. It's not like an online, you read it and you have no communication. You understand that this online class and all my online classes, just like my face-to-face, I try to get you involved into the communications. That's how we learn, not just by reading. What I read and how could I decipher what I read and able to talk about it and implement it either in my form. You look, even when you write an email, start using some of these concepts. Your manager, other people, wow, this person must know more than just regular verbiage because you're using definition, you're using verbiage, you're using concepts that are business concepts that a lot of other people at different levels know, and now you're using it, and that shows you, it gives you credibility, and it gives you, it validates that you know more than just you're just guessing it outright, okay? So now, when I look at this, I'm just going to click on this one, but I'm not going to play it. So how I would approach this, and this is part of it, and everyone could do it different. We're all learning differently. I would basically look at this one's chapter 12, click on that, and go through my concept map. Print out the concept map in here. Dr. M's mind map concept map means the same thing. Print it out, and if in my concept map, you only have the one level. Remember, when I go in here, you only have the one level, the concept map, but this one here has more. Let me just go in here. I'll go into this chapter real quickly, and just hang on a second. All right, I'll let it go because I'm having a little delay on here. But so what you're going to do, you're going to click on the, pull up the concept map, print it out, and you put out that verbiage. I only give you the one level, and you always see a plot. You could copy this because you can always stop my what do you call it, my overview conceptual maps or mind map and write down everything I have. Everything I have is what you have it out of a book. So remember, for you to learn the material, you have to be exposed to it. I teach consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is marketing over and over again, repetition, but you can't read the book over and over. So what happens? You read the book, you look at this, find out everything about it, a real quick overview, and then you read the chapters, add in your words. If you don't remember, say, which way is he going? What's the theme? Go back into my concept map, and then you write it in, and then do the connect homework, and then go to the next chapter, and do the same thing over again. And this is how you learn. Remember, the concept map is just a different way of presenting or communicating to individuals. Okay, so we do that. Now I'm going to go back to, what do you call it, week 5. So you have for each chapter, okay, week 5. I'm going here, I'm a little slow here. Always print out this one sheet here. Remember, this is just a quick overview. How I would do it when I was taking online classes for some of my masters and my doctoral, because I just couldn't get them in. So you're learning. I would basically print this out and I'll check it. I got to read this. You cross this out. So you have this like we call it a checkbox. What I did. No quizzes this week. So this way you have real quickly overview what you wanted to, what you have to do, okay? So you have the assessments and everything else. Okay, so now we go back into our weekly module. Okay, I'm going to go back in here. I clicked too quickly. Okay, you have that. You have the 2 YouTubes. You have the 2 connects. Connects are real easy. These 2 connects are just going to be like the presentation and video and some assessments within the connect. So if I look at, you have 2 assessments. One is what is communication under stress. Ties in well when you're in teams and everything else as a manager. How do I manage my communication? Look, when I communicate, everything is about a real night. When I am upset with somebody else because they're not giving me something like on the phone, my communication style is either more firmer or a lot different than when I have control of my emotions. So understand this, how you doing. So that's one assessment. And look, there's no right or wrong. This is just a quick assessment to see what I would do in certain situations until when the situation happens, you don't really know it. So if you don't handle the situation well, okay, this time, oh geez, I really felt that, and do it. That's a learning. Next time, you know how to handle the situation. But if you handle the situation the same way you handled last time, and it wasn't the way you wanted, you're not really learning, right? The part of the learning is I made a mistake, I tested it, and now I start fine-tuning. That's what learning, and you're learning every day of your life. You're always adjusting and coming in. And the next one is active listening. Remember, God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. I've always said that when I was a kid. They were like telling me. So that means you should listen more before you speak. Because remember, a lot of people are sending you a message. When you look at this communication, when you go into this chapter on communication, even under stress, you could tell when a person is, to try to avoid last week's with the conflict, you could tell when they're getting flustered. You could tell when their eyes are crinkling up, or me, my lips starts getting, you could tell I'm getting tense. You know I'm hitting a nerve. Do I diffuse this before it goes into the conflict? So the nonverbal is very important, and that my chapter overview gets a little bit more into that. Okay, so you have those 2. Now, one thing when you do these 2 assessments, then you go into the form. Now, one thing I want to understand. In your Connect homework, when you do the Chapter 12 and Chapter 13, I also have two other assessments as part of the homework, and not full assessment. One is on business etiquette. Now, if I look at business etiquette, that's why in the forms I always say you have to use the person's first name. You don't use no smiley cons or anything else. You can put them in here. I don't really mind that much. But remember, in business, I wouldn't do that. That doesn't look very professional. And you're very specific, and start using the concepts or terminology. Try to use them even at work. If you could use what you're learning here, that means that that's how could you tell an educated person who has knowledge versus someone who just has experience, is by the words they're using. Part of going to school, part of reading. Look how the author writes. Look how people write in the forum. Start using words and concepts, not only because this is a class and you have to use them, but also try to use it in your everyday life. Most of us are in business, start using it. That's how somebody's going to say, I could tell when somebody has some education, has a business background by the verbiage and everything else they're doing. Okay, so are you all right? So do the etiquette one on that. That's very important, and then you can post that, because if you write, remember when I do in the forms, last week's forms, you pasted something, and I could see the form kind of hit like a dead end. Remember, in business meetings, when somebody comes up and everyone's quiet, they want some feedback. Give them some feedback, but not just, yeah, it's okay. Remember, part of the feedback I'm trying to develop here in these forums or in the community, if you have me in a face-to-face class, is that you are always communicating in teams, and you just change it a little bit different. Okay, and then the active listening, make sure you is a real good chapter. So now in Chapter 13, you have politics. How political are you? Like it or not, politics in everyday life. You got politics in the family, you have everything else. How do I manage politics? How does the organization manage politics? So remember, everything you're looking at policies, companies, individuals from an organizational type of perspective. This is what this whole class is about. Okay, so we're all set on that. We have that. We have the two assessments. We have the form is worth 25 points. I've upped the forms a little because I'm asking you to do a little bit more in here. And I know some of you are doing very well. You're communicating a lot. You're going back and forth. And you're not just giving me one sentences. You're actually giving me some substance. I try to communicate back to you with substance. In my forms, a lot of times when you start off, I'm monitoring it because I want to see how you as a team could communicate and talk and help each other build up. Because you're basically, this class is like a network or a team or what do you call it, a cross-functional team that you would have at work, and it's helping you communicate, helping you write, helping you do everything else that you do forward. Okay, so that's what we have this week. Now, remember, we're in week 5. I want you to look at the research paper. It's doing, this one is wrong date. It's due in August, but I'll change the date on that. So, we're in week 5. Week 6 next week in the forum, I'm going to have one forum separate that's just going to be talking about, we'll be talking about, let's talk about the research paper. And in the research paper, start helping each other out. Say, hey, I'm stuck. What do I want? I've got this. I can't find any sources. Remember, just at work, somebody is doing something and somebody else doesn't understand it, so you try to help each other. And part of that is how people in the meetings and cross-functional meetings or different meetings that you're in, not in your department, even in your department meeting, but meeting where other people are coming in. That's how they see you communicate. That's how they see, hey, this person's got some knowledge. This person knows how to bring people together. This person knows how to research. This person knows how to give information in. And that's how you get promoted, and that's how people get to know you. Not just that they see you in the hallway. They see you in action. They see what you're doing. And that's what you want. And that's how you're going to grow. Not only in a small company, a larger company, when you're doing with other people, you start growing by being able to communicate. So next week, we'll have a quick forum that's just going to, we'll have 2 forums, one for the subject matter, and maybe the other forum is just so you can help each other out. And so I want to see how you're doing, and just and then when I see the forum is not going so well or something else, I'll jump in and try to stimulate the forum. I'll put in something in the subject area just to get other people going, to get this going, to get the what do you call, forum back on track, because we learn not only what you learn from the book, you learn from me, you learn from your from your classmates or your virtual team members, and that's how we all learn. Okay, so you have those 2 forms. So add in these 2 assessments are required. The other 2 assessments that you're going to find out in business with politics and everything else, throw those in, and then next week we'll have again the homework. We only have a few weeks. You're past that point already. I think you're doing well. Look, only a couple more weeks. You do 1 paper, you do a final exam, and you're all doing well. Make sure you always check your tools. Make sure you check your, what do you call it, your your grades in there. And you know, some of you, I always kind of resync it. I know you use different apps for entering. Going to do your connect, but remember, sometimes you do it through Blackboard. I'll give you the grade. The grade comes up automatically. So I think you're doing very well. Keep it up. Just a quick overview for the week. You know, we're coming to chapters. You have 65 points. This is very interesting class. I enjoy the forums. Some of you are now coming out of your shell, for lack of better words, and posting more and talking more. Always make sure you look at the rubrics on the forum. That's how I grade you. I'll come back. You know, even if you may get 16 or 12 or 5 out of 20. Well, how did I get? Well, Dr. George, you must not like me because I posted something, but they're all at the last day. So go into the rubrics. It tells you everything in the rubrics. It tells you how I'm grading you, and it's very objective. It's there's some sort of activity in there, but you're doing well. Same thing when you're doing the research paper. I have a rubric attached, which is a research paper, and it'll give you an idea what's required. So you're doing well. Hang in there. You're past. You're already going, and you're past the halfway mark. It's all downhill now. But don't give up. A lot of people give up when they oh, I'm almost done. This is the time you should be picking up. You have your classmates. This is a nice group. It's a good interaction. You've met people. Even after this course is over, still keep their contact with them. Some of you will be in other classes, but this works out well. But if you've got the same interests or the same discipline, it's nice to have somebody else after you're finished. I have a lot of people when I finish my master's or even my doctoral studies that I still keep in connection with. Okay, so this is Management 280. Organizational behavior offered online week 5. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. This course is offered by Harper College, Palatine, Illinois, in conjunction with Blackboard, usually in concept maps. You're doing well, study well, learn well, and this is just another step, another building block. So when you finish your degree, get your degree here at Harper College, you could go to your 4-year university, or when employers hire you to say, hey, the students out of graduates out of Harper College, they really know how to take concept and put it into practicality. They've got good communication skills. They've got good written communication. They've got good verbal communication, and so you do well. So enjoy this week, and I'll see you in the forum in a little bit, and have a nice day. Signing off right now. I gotta find my F10 key to stop this recording. Bye.